All right, just to recap, in example 11A, we create a little rhythmic pattern, and then over the course of 4 measures, we vary that pattern, introducing the E natural, which is unexpected, and then also introducing this D flat, which is kind of equally unexpected. And altogether, we get 2 measures, almost 2 measures of kind of a C minor sound, and then we have 2 more measures of like a D flat major or D flat Lydian kind of sound. So now that we've established this ostinato pattern, let's take a look at our next score, 11B. Scrolling down here, we've got the cellos playing the same ostinato pattern that we created in 11A, but now we've added some stuff with violin. And the violin is actually kind of straightforward if you look at it, if we zoom in here in detail. So the cello was playing this, and the cello is still playing that here, but the violin is now adding these little accents on some of these upper notes. In these first couple measures. So the violin really is just extracting some of this ostinato pattern, and it's helping to complement what the cellos are playing. So they're just playing that little line here. And then we see this 2 measure repeat sign. So that means what they play for measures 1 and 2 are going to repeat, and that happens for the rest of this short piece. Let's take a look at the bass. The contrabass is supporting the C minor tonality that the cellos are establishing. So again, I'm just playing this on a string patch here, but it sounds a bit like this. So notice the contrabass is not exactly playing the same rhythm as the cello. It's doing its own thing. It's playing a couple quarter notes. So we're keeping a sense of 4/4 feel. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is juxtaposed with, remember, that 3-3-2 rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So all together, so we've got a little bit of syncopation happening between the cello and the contrabass, just a little bit. If we look harmonically at what the contrabass is doing, notice we've got this D flat here. This is what we call a non-chord tone, or we can think of it like a upper neighbor tone. So really the bass is on C, and it's just skipping up to this D flat just temporarily, just for a little variety. Bum ba dum. And it's just for an 8th note, so it's not a big deal, but we're just adding that to create a little bit of interest. But then in measure 3, measure 4, suddenly the bass moves over to the D flat. Now it's playing D flat quarter notes, and this matches the change in the cello. Remember, the cello swapped out the C for the D flat, so the contrabass is supporting that. And then over here, we've got the contrabass. Notice this D natural. I don't think anyone's played that yet, but we're moving from D flat, moving through D natural to get to E flat in the fifth measure. So we would call this D natural a passing tone. This is another type of non-chord tone, just like an upper neighbor, but we call it passing because we're passing chromatically from D flat to D natural to E flat. We're just kind of passing through it. This piece is 8 measures long, whereas our previous example was only 4. So what we've done is we've simply repeated the cello ostinato pattern, just like it was before. We've got the E natural happening in the second measure, and then the move to D flat. So the only thing that's different now is the bass. Instead of coming back to C, the bass is on an E flat. Let's compare measure 1 and measure 5. In measure 1, we had that kind of sound. We had the C's in octaves. But then let's compare over here with measure 5. See, that's a bit of a different sound. And remember, the contrabass, it's written up here, but that E flat is going to sound an octave lower, just because that's how we notate music for contrabass. So really, this C and this E flat an octave below, that creates a major sixth. So instead of octaves, we're hearing a sixth. Okay, so you might wonder, okay, great, there's a sixth, but what does that do for us? Well, here's what I think it does for us. If we look at our bass line, our bass is on C, basically, for a couple measures, then D flat, then the bass moves up to E flat, then down to D flat. So our bass line creates an 8-measure arc. The bass helps our piece sound like it's 8 measures long, even though we have 4 measures of cello that basically repeat. So what the bass is doing in measure 5, really it's kind of harmonizing with the cello line. Early on we said the cello is outlining a C minor type of tonality, and our A flat was kind of the hint. The bass fills in E flat. It's kind of the missing third. So the bass is supporting that harmony with the cello. All right, so I think that's all I have to say about this lesson. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.